Hey, I'm a hard times guy. The other day I made a video called The Truth or Consequences. Today I'm going to continue that thought in this video. That day you learned how much emphasis or how important it was to me and my wife to be able to be dealing with the truth in our family, and how important we wanted it to be for our children to understand the value of truth. There are other videos prior to that one which deal with how I feel about life and life situations and what's important in life and how one should approach life. So if you're a new viewer, you're watching me for the first time, or you saw something else that led you to this one, but you haven't seen those videos, hopefully you'll stay with this one long enough to gain some interest in what I'm trying to say, and you can go back then and look at some of the other videos that I've made that talk about things like this, and I continue to put them in videos in the future, I hope. But truth is something that in life is so important that I don't know what I could put ahead of it as far as what a person needs to make good decisions, and making good decisions is what life is all about. If you make good decisions the greater percentage of the time throughout your life, then you're going to have a good life. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what your daddy's name was. I don't care how much money you have. None of that matters. If you're a young person with your life ahead of you, if you start right now making the best decision you can about everything pertinent to your life and the success of it, and you do that the greater percentage of the time, you're going to create for yourself a good and worthwhile life. Now, I'm looking at the result of a bad decision. It wasn't really a decision. It was like I went to the house for something and got sidetracked and did a couple other things and came back, and I got my sunglasses on. Don't need those, so let's take them off. Where do we find truth is the question I want to pose to you. Then I want to regress and tell you that when I was young, my parents impressed on me that same value that I have now, and then try to impress on those younger than me of how important truth was. And if I wanted to create trouble for myself when I was young, it was lie to my parents about something and get caught in it. Whew, I had no fun. They felt the same way that I do about it now. They didn't want no part of that. No lying to them from their children. But it was a whole lot easier then to know what the truth was. Let me start first of all by saying I was 9 or 10 years old before we ever had a television. Now, I watched some television. We had a next door neighbor had a television long before we did, and the lady would have me over, and I was introduced to the Mickey Mouse Club. I fell in love with Annette Funicello. I was introduced to the Little Rascals and watched those episodes on the TV that the next door neighbor had. but didn't have a television in our house till, I'm guessing I was right around 9 or 10. And even then, I didn't look at the television as a source of truth for me. I got my information from my parents and from my church and from my school teachers. That's who I learned from. And when they told me something, I had no reason to doubt that it was true. And as I began to learn how to read and other things, when I read something in a book, an encyclopedia, a history book, a school book, when I read it in a book, I accepted it as true. And generally, it was true. And then later, as I got older and started paying attention to the 5 o'clock news or the 6 o'clock news. You know, I think back in the old days, they had the local news on at 5 o'clock for whatever city that channel was in, and then the 6 o'clock news was the national news. And you had some person there, depending on which network you watched, who was the world's purveyor of truth. So if you saw it on the news, it was true. In fact, those top news people, and their goal was this: they wanted to have the scoop. In other words, they wanted their network or their news program to be the first ones on the air with the big story. And if they could accomplish that, wow, that's just the best thing that could happen to them. The worst thing that could happen to them was for them to go on the air with a story, whether it was first, second, or third, whatever, however they got on the air, but let's say it looked like a scoop. They were the first ones out with it. The very worst thing that could happen to them, in fact, it could destroy their career if it happened in a big way or very often. The very worst thing that could happen to them was for them to sit behind their desk as the news anchor for the evening news and tell you something that was not true. And it didn't even have to be a blatant lie. It could be an honest little mistake that made what they just told you inaccurate. They weren't lying to you. They thought they were telling you the truth, but they got it wrong. That was the worst thing that could happen to a news person when I was young. And so they went to great lengths to see to it that that didn't happen to them, because it could destroy their career. They had a whole staff of people. Anytime they had news to report, they had people going everywhere, doing everything, checking everything possible to make sure that what they told you was the truth. Yeah, boy, that's nothing like it is today. I mean, I don't care who you are, what your politics are, what news channels you prefer to watch or don't prefer to watch. I think you can, unless you're, forget that. I think you can, no matter who you are or what you are or how knowledgeable you are or how ignorant you are about what's going on, you can say, wow, wouldn't that be good? Because it ain't like that today. They're going to tell you whatever they choose to tell you to support whatever their agenda is. And they being all those news organizations that are out there. You can't single one out and say that their pursuit is the truth like it was in 1955 or 1960 or 1965 probably. I don't know, I really don't know when it changed, but it did. Because the truth is elusive now, and it's hard to figure out. But it's still important. We can't make good decisions without it, so you have to get in there and dig for it yourself. You have to look at all of it and investigate and back check and go beyond the obvious to find out who's telling you the truth. Because you need the truth. Today, there's a lot of things going on in the world. And there's so many things, major things going on right now. I don't know where to begin to continue this discussion. And I don't know whether I even want to continue this discussion. I think probably if I have somehow given you a desire, a thirst, a longing for truth to the point that you will pursue it yourself, however you do that, I think if I've done that, I've done more than I could ever imagine I might do. And if I thought I could accomplish that without saying another word, I'd just quit now. Because if you did that, you wouldn't need any of the other things that I'm about to say. Let me go back in time again. And what is it when we go back in time? We're looking at what? We're looking at history. And what is history? It's a question. Think about it. What is history? And I'm going to tell you what it is. You can agree with me or disagree with me. I urge you not to, if you disagree, I urge you not to disagree and discount everything I say. I urge you to pursue the truth in what I'm saying. Dig and find out if what I'm saying has merit, value. History is simply this. History is the record of something in the past, something that has already happened. History is the record of that. And let me add to that. History is the accurate, the true, the truth about an event at a place at a time in the past. That's what history is. And if it doesn't meet those requirements, an event in the past at a place and accurate and true, then it's not history. When you think about how hard it is today to find out what the truth is, think about how hard it's going to be 25 years from now to find out what the truth was today for those people. My God! Some of this stuff they'll never figure it out because everywhere they look will tell them a different story. put a different slant on it. I intended to go on about social media and how social media contributes to total annihilation of the truth, and how cable television has contributed to total annihilation of the truth, and how journalism has disintegrated from the passionate pursuit of truth that it was when I was a child to what it is today. But it's just bigger than me. I'm going to have to think about it for a few more days and try to narrow my passions and channel back down into just like one thing. I'm going to go back 5 minutes ago and repeat what I just said. If all I've done, and I say all I've done as if that's nothing, and it isn't, if I have managed to accomplish this phenomenal feat of making you hungry for truth, not opinion that agrees with yours, but truth. If you're hungry for that, from what I've said, then praise God, I said something that mattered one time. And I think that's where I'm going to leave this. What am I going to do with the rest of this video? Very little. Didn't have the guys today. They weren't here. A couple of them went to Michigan fishing. A couple of them were doing something else. I told them I was going to go on a rant today anyway, and probably didn't need them to stay focused because I knew I probably couldn't stay focused anyway. I was just going to get off like I've got off here. So that's what we'll leave it with today. I think I'll take some footage that I've already shot, show you some things that are for sale, and we'll let this video be what it is, and not going to build myself up or back myself into a corner by telling you that I'm going to continue this thought or even this line of thought in future videos. I'm not sure I am. I think I'm not going to give up, but I'm going to take a different vent. I might give you a test once in a while to see if I've awakened a desire in any of you to find the truth. And if I can find some evidence that that has happened, then I may go on with whatever in my mind's next. But if we don't have truth, we don't have anything. If we don't have truth, we can't deal with these problems that we got right now going on with what's happening nationally. I could ask you, and I could say, find yourself 2 recognized in their field experts that agree with your opinion. Come back tomorrow and tell me what the truth is about COVID-19 and post it to me on Facebook Messenger. And if you would do that, those of you that are listening to me, I don't know how many of you might be, but if you would do that for every one of you, I would have a different answer. Because the truth, we can't find it. We've been told so many things, we don't know what the truth is. So we just kind of believe who we want to believe. You know, the Bible has some words to say about that. And I'm going to give you another little clue right here. The Bible is a place that you can find truth. But the Bible is also a place where someone trained in argument can twist the truth. So you got to dig there too. What's the truth about coronavirus? What's the truth about police brutality? What's the truth about law and order? We're living in a tough world to live in. I got an advantage over most of you. I'm not going to have to live in it as long as you are. But somebody needs to wake up and find the truth, especially for those of you that are young. Because where we're at now, it's not going to take you to a good place. And when you can't find the truth any more often than you can, you're not going to be able to make decisions in your life about how to get to a good place. And that's what I really want for you. I'm a hard times guy. I'm not even going to offer you anything to buy. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to buy in that the truth is important. It's important that we know it. I want you to buy in that the decisions that you make have more to do about how your life turns out than any other thing. And I want you to buy in that you have to have the truth to make good decisions. Until the next time, subscribe to my channel, watch all my videos, like the ones you like. If you don't like them, you don't have to check the unlike box. Not checking anything is still the truth by today's standard. I'll see you next time. Hard Times Guy.